How's it going, everyone? This is Anon. None of this is financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. Alright, so we're just getting started. Let me do this. Let's pull up, and SPY, because that was an interesting day today. What's up, Jerry? How are you, bud? And what am I doing here? I am... Oh, Random's the first liker. Congrats. I think Jerry was the first one in. No moon. Yeah, good. Long day at work. Yeah. I feel you, bud. So my wife is sick. So like she was sick last week and she was getting better over the weekend, we thought, and then she was running a fever today, so I had to put the kids down for bed. What's up, guys? Let's see. It's Earthy M's here. He's doubtful again. JG, what's up, man? What's up, Yes? What's up, Random? What's up, Vlad? Awesomeness. What's up, guys? Don't give up faith. You already know. Here, if you wanted to look, just remember on Aterian right here, they've got to get all the way back up here just to unlock a warrant. So it doesn't matter what this is doing. They have to get back up here for them to unlock warrants. So at some point you'll see a pump. Kind of like this little run here. All right, and they push it back down. We may test this, these levels right here. But for them to actually unlock any warrants, it has to be here or above. And probably a little bit higher, because if they get up to here and start diluting, then it's just going to instantly fall back under. So there you go. What's up, Morgo? How are you? How's everyone doing? How was everyone's trading day? It's a weird day, right? Yeah, so let's go back to... honestly, we finished 3 pennies down on Aterian. So let's see. SPY. Yeah, 3 pennies on a day that the SPY dropped for, it's basically doing nothing. How do you think Phase 6 will affect ATER? It all depends on, obviously, if you look at the macro picture, right? So we've talked about this on this channel before. So let me zoom out a little bit on the SPY so we can just kind of take a look, right? So we're going to retest this level down here in the 370s, 360s, right? That will happen at some point, right? Here's what the Fed's doing, right? The Fed's raising rates, right? So we got our first Fed raising rates, right? And the stock market went down, and then it rallied back, and then it went down, and everyone was freaked out. And so since then, it's been kind of being pushed back up on low volume, right? Now, during this time, a lot of people went very bearish, right? People were selling stocks, all these things, but they had these large gaps up here, right? Remember, gaps tend to fill, and you have these large gap downs. All right, so whenever you see gap downs or gap ups, you know that those are areas of liquidity that need to be rediscovered again at some point. It may take a year, may take next week, you never know. But knowing that there's gaps there, you know that they're going to retest these at some point, right? So when everybody else was going very, bearish at this point right here, right? These gaps especially these ones up here that, didn't get retested for a while. You knew that they were going back up to 400 again, right? So it happened, right? And then it burst through. And I was telling everyone this 417 mark was an important line, because if you look in the past, if we look zoomed out on this thing, you can see, all right, in the past, it dipped down below it, bounced off this fib, and then came back up, right? Then it used this as a perfect support, and then ran back up, right? And I think that was at the high, that was near highs. That was like 460s, right? Then it comes back down, bounced off it again, bounced off it, and it was using it basically just like going under, over, under. It broke down, got pushed back up, and then it broke through. Finally, it went back down, right? Came back up and almost tested it as resistance, and then it was down here. Same thing happened here. It was using this basically as a resistance, broke back down until recently, where it burst through, once again on low volume. This is not high volume for it to burst through, but somebody wanted to do it. So what they did was they gapped up here. So they left a gap here on the SPY. Once again, so that there's going to be this liquidity area that's going to be rediscovered again at some point, right? So you gap down here. So this is something to look at. Did this fill? Hello. Yeah, market makers say I'm going to fill that gap. I don't know. Did it get high enough to actually fill this gap? So we still have a gap, I think, at 420. If I'm seeing that correctly. So if we take from 421 or 420, went down here. Did it get back up that high? Nope. And almost. It got close, but it was not. So there's still a gap above us. So you could see something getting real weird in the next couple weeks. So it wouldn't surprise me if we chop, like we just whipsaw back and forth around, because they get everyone bearish again, right? And then they find a reason to pump it again and fill that gap. And then at that point, they might be able to, and then all the people that had puts would go ahead and freak out and sell their puts. And then that's when they would tank it. That's what I see. I don't know. But you have to remember now that we have this, gap up here, same thing. You may see a swing. So this is why it's tough trading in this, unless you know what's going on as far as because most of us have no idea on the retail side. Like, we're not smart money that's like, okay, well, we're going to just basically run this thing up and down and make money on both sides. So we have to basically do our best to kind of figure out where we think things are going. And whenever people get all on one side, that the market's going to do their best to basically take the other side of that, because that's what smart money does. So, ATER was fine. It was down 3 pennies on a day that it was 1% down on the S&P. Nothing but blue wrenches. Do we have a lot of... well, I mean, at one point we had, we had lots of people in here hanging out with us, and some of those chats had like 400 people in them. It's weird. What's up, John? How are you? Hey, Becca. I just noticed you came in. How are you? Goat's here. Becca's here. Random's here. Sade, what's up, man? I'll sell you mine. I'll sell you mine for... I'll use my wrench on you, John. What's up, CJ? All right, let's take a look. What do you guys want to cover today? But I was just kind of going over. So we have to watch this gap here at the 421 area, 420, 421 roughly. All right, because there was the gap here, right? They gapped up over this. They had to fill that. They filled it here. But now we've left this gap up here. So, and we remember that was roughly, just looking at all the gaps that we filled already. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better. I was gonna say, kind of last week took a lot out of me because kids were sick, I was sick, wife was sick, so a whole lot of the blind leading the blind as far as you know, both of us are like feeling like crap, and the kids are sick, and it's like, oh my god, just miserable. It wasn't COVID either. What's up, Jeff? How are you, bud? You ATAR folks. Yeah, we talk about other things in here too, but I know most of us have at least some shares. Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. Like, we drew this out. We'll cover it every single time. I drew this bright green line here so you guys know, right? They left a little gap here, didn't they? I just noticed that. I think they left gaps here at like 3 something. They left a gap here in 260s. So just remember, for everyone out there that's invested in ATER, they have to get the stock prices down here, and they have to get it right here just to unlock one warrant on the 6th. Now, they can do it anytime after the 6th of September. So I'm just throwing it out there that basically on this day right here, they're eligible to unlock, right, those warrants. So at some point, you will probably see a push up. I don't know if it will be next week or if it will be, year from that. We don't know. But I would guess they would probably want to get them just out and over with, since the last time that we saw them, it just, they, as soon as they basically were eligible, they unlocked them and then they sold them. So we will see what, oh, my kid's up. Hold on. Let me turn down the monitor. Hopefully he'll go back to sleep. I'll have to be a little bit quieter now. Yeah, I was going to say, all right, so let's do this. Let's do box D real quick. Some of you guys played that earlier, right? Because it had like a little blip, and then it kind of bled off. And I think if I remember correctly, we covered this and we established didn't they have warrants? That's why I told people just to proceed with caution. Yeah, they had warrants and other dilution. Okay, so box D, right? So they have 24.11 million warrants. They have these convertible notes, and they also have an equity line of credit for 15 million. They also need cash, based off the cash position as of the last filing. Now remember, the warrants though are at 11, so that's the one thing. They've got a ton of that stuff up there. So at some point you may see them try to pump, but it looks like these are convertible at 12. And then this equity line, they're able to basically go through. Don't you have someone to... Wait, what was up 100%? Box D was up 100% today? What? No, they were down almost 10%. Yeah, so here's the thing, right? Here, let's look historically back, right? So, came out here, was oversold off the bat, ran up here to 17, and then basically since then it's been this falling knife. It fell into this consolidation area, it looks like, and now it looks like it's going to be running towards a spring test if we're going off Wyckoff. Can it go a little bit lower? Sure. Let's take a look. But I would imagine there's some gaps up here. Yep, there's a gap up here at 5. do see one at 5. Looks like there's a tiny gap here between 520 and about 5. So that would be my initial target. There's also a one here at 233. Yeah, so there's one at 233, which is more immediate. Then there's one at 5 as well. So you look here, you're now in oversold. So on the RSI, if you look here, you'll see that's crossed over on the daily RSI for oversold. This is probably, my guess would be the spring. It could be a little bit further down. It could be down here in the below $1. But at some point, what will probably happen is you'll start seeing a reversal for this one, and then I would expect it to fill the 230 gap and also the $5 gap at some point. Does depend on the biggest thing. The reason why it's being pushed down so heavily is because they have no cash. Like, they need cash. That's why, if you notice, like, let's see how bad the earnings were. All right. So cash is needed. Cash is needed badly. They've got more in inventory right now. Overall assets have come down, and their overall liabilities remained about the same. They did reduce some of their accounts payable with that cash, but if you look, they did drop in equity. So, there you go. Yeah, I mean, it's not like super healthy. It's, not the worst thing I've ever seen. But yeah, it's definitely more on the, I would be playing this basically just for the gap fills. Or if you want to go, if you think they're going to turn it around, you could play it long. But, you just have to know that this is going to be a long ride. So it's up to you how you want to play it. At some point, I'm sure those people will want to get their, warrants out at 11. So, okay. I saw the next person that said something after Box D was J Pong wants me to look at 2 of them. That's fine. I'll do that. I do want to hit BBBY real quick, and then I'll just do J's 2. ZM is Zoom, I think, right? If I remember correctly, ZM is Zoom. Yeah, it's Zoom. And they lowered their guidance and all that stuff. They're obviously a much bigger company. And then let's pull up BBBY real quick, because I know people are interested in this one because it's, obviously kind of got some big news coming up tomorrow. So let's cover it real quick, and then, oh, you know what I need to do? Sorry, hold on. Let me just do this real quick. Oh, yeah, and if you guys can hit the like button, it will help the algorithm. I know there's only the 4 people that haven't hit the like button. If you can hit it, that'd be great. All right, let's see. I need to turn on the studio real quick. Oh, no, I lost 2 subscribers. All right. Pulling it up now. There we go. All right. All right, here we go. Trending on Twitter, apes never leaving. Sorry, I just had to. Hashtag apes strong together. Hashtag apes never leaving. God. I mean, they're not wrong. AMC is a different story, but, you know. I did find this pretty amusing. They, like, literally catered and covered Reddit, talking about how as soon as they talked about shorts covering, they got cut off. And then they were like, you know, all these conspiracy theorists. And there's probably at least some aspect of truth to that. But at the same time, they probably didn't want to really talk about, you know, how the market actually works on the air. Okay. So BBBY is having an announcement tomorrow, right? And the announcement is pretty big because, for everyone that doesn't know this, they have right now an interim CEO, right? What's her name? Or is she interim or is she official now? BBBY is Sue Grove. Started on June 23rd. So we can see. Wait. That's the old guy, isn't it? Yeah, that's Mark Tritton. Yeah. So this is the new CEO right now. She's interim CEO. I was right. Okay. So she's the interim CEO of Bed Bath and Beyond, and they have something that is valuable. Not much because their balance sheet looks like pretty bad, but they own Bye Bye Baby. All right. And here on June 29th, they said that they were still open to selling Bye Bye Baby, right? So Bye Bye Baby is a pretty large, like retail slash e-commerce, powerhouse inside of for babies, the space for kids. And since they're pretty popular and pretty big, I mean, I think we registered with them, if I remember correctly, and we bought and closed there before. It's one of the more profitable things that Bed Bath & Beyond owns, but because it's pretty valuable, it actually can be sold to clear out some of their debt. So the reason why it's a big deal for tomorrow is because obviously when you looked at the earnings report that came out here, let me pull up the right ticker so we can follow along, right? So when this earnings came out, it was bad. And so it got pushed down to these lowest levels after earnings, right? It got down into the fours, and then it consolidated for a while, got pushed down, and then all of a sudden, this is when people started, like they weren't shaking people out. And so they had to basically start covering a bit because the short interest, institutions have been buying down here and retail as well, So, remember, gaps fill. We left a huge gap up here at 22, down to like 20. We left an even bigger gap here at, was that like 16, all the way down to 12. Now, the one at 12 is filled, but this goes up to 16. So until this gets up to 16, that gap still is there. Now, it looks like if you look at this thing, you have just started getting, some positive on the awesome. You might see this tomorrow switch over to positive on the CCI. This could easily start shortening and getting back up on the TTM squeeze. And if the volume picks up on this thing, which normally happens when they're covering, you will see this thing start popping. And if it gets back into this 20s, it's going to gap fill that. So, that would probably be very probable if they announce that they're going to sell the Bye Bye Baby division and clear out a lot of toxic debt. So that's why there's a lot of, speculation and people trying to figure out what's going on. The initial drop was because Ryan Cohen sold his position, but he might have sold it because he couldn't have a conflict of interest sitting on the board of Bed Bath & Beyond and having inside information while trying to buy something from them. So he may have had to reduce his entire position just so he could buy that asset. It's good for him because it adds to whatever. So we don't know if Ryan Cohen's buying it for GameStop or for one of his other ventures. He's part of a conglomerate of like rich people that are like. So I don't know which entity he's taking it for, but to me, the way I look at it, either way, he's going to be involved in it, and that's a pretty strong, I don't know if they'll, put it into its own ticker or what they'll do with it. But at this point right now, it's a pretty good purchase. It's pretty strong. People still buy it, no matter if they're, the country's in a recession, you still need baby stuff for people who are just having kids for the first time. And they sell a good amount of it. So that's what's going on with Bed Bath & Beyond. The news should break tomorrow. I don't know. Did they have a press conference scheduled? Okay. They said they would hold the conference call. Let me pull it up for you guys. On the 31st. End of the month, right? So, right here. They're going to provide a business and strategic update at tomorrow morning. So, and they will issue a press release and related. They would do it approximately 45 minutes start. So, at what is that? Is that 6 something or is that 7 something? Right. Be like 7 something. They'll put out some information. So this stock will be moving in the pre-market, especially around like 7 a.m. So we'll see what it ends up doing. Now, one of the worst things that it could do, which I'm sure it will do, is if there's good news, they are going to gap up, and then it's just going to be you're leaving another gap at some point, and you could see it run, but then it's coming back down to these levels at some point to fill in these areas of liquidity. So, because there's a pocket here and a pocket here that there's not a ton of volume. So they're going to probably test these areas again at some point. So just throwing it out there. So yeah, BBBY has math is hard and I'm tired. So I don't know about you guys. I decided to do something which is a bit out of the ordinary. So if I remember correctly, they left a gap at like 6. I think it was here. They left a gap or something like that. A small gap. And I bought some $6 puts going into tomorrow. So if they decide to, put out something and it tanks, I will make money. And if it goes to the moon tomorrow, then I'll eat some losses on the puts, but at least I hedged to the downside. So that's how I'm playing this. Personally, I have shares long, and I've sold a couple covered calls for 24. And I bought some cash secured puts at 8. And I've got shares, and I also have a couple calls. So I'm prepared either way. If it does end up dropping tomorrow, I will sell those puts for profit and then buy long with them once it gets down to I think an appropriate level. Yeah, I'm not shorting it. I bought some puts to hedge my position because I have most of my money long. So for me to be, doing it the smart way, which is how, like hedge funds and stuff like that do it, they basically have shares long, they buy calls and they buy puts. And that way they can, make sure they're protected. That's just personally me. But you guys, obviously, if you're long and you don't want to touch, the other side, that's totally understandable. I'm just trying to protect my position. So hopefully I will make money either way, you know. Okay. So Jay's getting impatient, but that's fine. We'll cover it real quick for you. All right. So here's Zoom. Let's take a look at the last couple. I mean, it's been basically, here's earnings. You left a pretty sizable gap right here, right, on earnings. So what's probably going to happen is at some point, let's see, how many areas of liquidity have they hit on this? There. Back down here. Man, I need to zoom out because... So we're back down here, right? So I would be curious to see if I draw out a price line for about here in the 80s. All right. So if I was just taking a look at this and eyeing it, with it dropping here-ish, all right? So I would suspect this gap at some point is up at here at the 96 level is going to fill at some point. So that would be kind of what I'm looking for. At some point it's going to go back up there. It looks like it may go through a consolidation, and it may even go through a spring before it does that. So what you're probably going to look for is trying to get, I don't know what your average is on this. If I was playing this, I would be playing it basically pretty safe. To me right now, it looks like there was some buying pressure, just a slight bit over the last 2 days. What I would be looking for is basically for this thing to keep consolidating and then at some point maybe hit a spring down and then run back up to fill this gap here at 96. So that's what I'd be taking a look at in the short term. For them, they're a huge company. They have plenty of money coming in. They're not like, there's no dilution or anything that's significant for Zoom. Let me make sure. I'm not speaking out of my butt, but I'm pretty sure, yeah. I mean, you've got Vanguard, BlackRock, Morgan Stanley. You've got all the big guys. ARK, Renaissance, T. Rowe Price. That's weird how they wrote it. Price T. Rowe. JP Morgan Chase. Like, these are all the big guys, and they all own this thing. So I wouldn't be worried too much. I mean, even if they go down slightly, at some point they will fill this gap. Not sure when, but there it is. You're in at 80. Yeah, I mean, 80 to 96, that'd be some good profit. So it just depends on how you're playing it. Okay. Let's take a look real quick at what the last one you wanted. What is this? Supercom SPCB. All right, let's take a look real quick to see if there's any huge red flags off the bat. SPCB, Supercom. Okay, it looks like most of their dilution already happened over the last 2 years. that means they should have decent cash. Yeah, I was going to say, if they diluted that much, they must have cash. Yeah, so they've got about a couple years worth of cash left. They do have warrants here, though, at 32. And it's with Armistice. These aren't registered. These are already gone. But these ones here, they can be exercised on... So September. Yeah, so these things will be due September 1st. So tomorrow, basically. The baby shelf's already capped and gone. So, yeah, that's what I'd be looking for. You've got some warrants here at 32 cents. So, where are we right now? So you left a huge gap here at what? Guess where? 32 cents, 31, 32. Right? So you left that gap there. It's now almost filled, but it hasn't quite filled all the way. So you could see a little bit more downside till it fills that gap, and then it could be safe to have them run it up. It's up to them, though, if they're going to just push it up now or if they're going to wait and come back down to that level after they dilute. So that's what I see on it. But yeah, so keep an eye on this tiny gap that's still there down at like 29. If it hits that tomorrow, I would go long. Just knowing that they have to push the price up into probably, I don't know, the 40s, 50s to get those warrants out. And they can start doing them after 6 months, which is tomorrow, basically, September 1st. So this one could be one that runs. If you want, I'll put it on the... I'll put it in the open research. Looking at researching a possible warrant unlock situation on SPCB. There you go. I'll put it inside the open research. Okay. Let me go back up and figure out what else we need to talk about. So we covered those two. What was it? Was that the MGAM? Mobile Global Esports. Esports has taken a hit recently, but let's take a look anyway. MGM Mobile. Okay, Mogo is the name of the thing. Mogo. It's esports in India, it looks like. Small float, it appears to be. Current shares outstanding is 18 million. They've got plenty of cash based off of... they don't burn a ton of cash, it looks like. Why is this one interesting to you? There's not a ton of information on it. Is this a new filing? Yeah, it just came out on July 22nd, it looks like. It looks like they gapped up, though. So I don't like gap ups. I think they did this before, if I remember correctly. No, they just had that strong day, and then they've been basically here. But gaps tend to fill, so just keep an eye on that. This thing was oversold to begin with, but they went up 100% a day. But the problem with that is because you gapped up so much that you're sitting there and you're literally looking at like a huge, huge gap fill that needs to happen for this thing to run healthily. So it looks like they had traded, what, 92 million shares? A stock that has 18 million? Yeah, I don't like that. That's like, is this a squeeze play? Let's see. Because I was going to say, off the bat, it looks like kind of crazy. Yeah, like, can it run more? Sure. It also can fall, half as much right now. Fall 50%. They have money. I don't see any, like, significant, like, they don't even have short data on this thing. They'll probably end up having it tomorrow, though, if they're ran up that much in a day on no apparent news. I don't see any news on this thing. So I know somebody asked me to look at this before, and there was not like anything like major. It was pretty new, and I didn't have a ton of information, and we still don't have it. Like, if you go in here, you look, like, they just have the shares outstanding, and then they think, obviously, they don't burn a ton of cash, it looks like, and they've got a good chunk of it. And then besides that, we don't know any holders. We just have these filings from like a couple years ago. Yeah, what is going on with this? So this here is pursuant to section 13. It's an 8K. So it just got added to the exchange. That's weird. All right. They were selling 1.5 million shares as an IPO at $4. India e-gaming. What was this thing written? July 29th. I mean, look at that symbol. Look at that. That's a thing of beauty. It looks like it came from the 90s. What is going on with this thing? So basically, it looks like they just re-registered this year. Is that what's happened? They re-registered? It's weird. Yeah, I don't know what to tell. I think you guys had me look at this ticker before, and I think what we established was there wasn't enough information at the time. Because I think you guys asked me this like a month ago when it first came out, on like the end of July is what the first day it came out. And then since then it was going down, so nobody was paying any attention to it except for the people that bought, when they first came in, like here. But like, and I think I told you guys, I don't understand. They didn't even have like, at the time, all the filings were from like 2014. Now they finally actually show that they're, I guess, re-registering it. But yeah, look at this thing. Like, these things were all from 14. All the filings here. Like, I can't tell you about a stock that the last thing they had was from 2014. So, I can tell you something weird's going on here, though, because this is highly unusual that you would have 100% up in a day, and they haven't, their symbol looks like it's from like the 90s. All right. So yeah, something's going on here. I mean, something weird's going on. So you guys do whatever you want with weird, because I can't. Something's going on. But there's a gap now. Just be aware there's a gap from 2 to 4 something. What was it? Or is that 3? 330. So 260 to like 330. There's a gap there. So keep an eye on that. All right. We covered BBBY. Random. I did see your thoughts. I don't know if they're going to market games towards babies or the game characters on like logos. They could do those things. It's a fun thought. So okay. Da, 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 da. Thoughts on BBAI? Yeah. So I can show you guys. I don't know if Margot is still with us. But basically, I can show you guys what he had written. I'll read it. All right. Margot is basically, he's our CPA buddy, and he's helped us out in a lot of different things. But he said he finally was looking at the BBAI financials and ownership. His general thoughts are below. So it's a standard call out of not financial advice. So he's just saying that this is not an industry he's super familiar with, but he's just looking at it from a general accounting background. So he was saying revenue and margin. So the revenue quarter over quarter and year over year has remained relatively flat. Little to no growth, which isn't the best considering what's been happening in terms of the operations expenses. The margin remained flat as well, so the cost to generate revenues remained pretty consistent. Operating expenses, ignoring that their goodwill impairment as its non-cash expense, is generally not reflective of operating results. The big news here is the selling in general and the admin costs or admin expenses. Compared to 2022, they had more than doubled, 27 million in Q2 versus 10 million Q2 of 21. The press release states that the increase in the net loss was also a result of the higher public company expenses, and as well as the infrastructure and integration costs. He said with his experience that the additional costs the company must bear just to be public is pretty massive and it doesn't necessarily drive future growth. They'll need to basically grow their revenues to make up the difference in the long term. Looks like got flipped to the infrastructure. I guess he's basically saying I think they're able to get funding better this way. Cash flows and cash. The statement of cash flows illustrates the impact of the additional operating expenses. In the 6 months that ended in 2021, BBAI's operations generated positive cash flow of $332K versus the 6 months that ended in 2022 operations that had negative cash flows of $32 million. Circling back, BBAI needs revenue growth, which may be gearing up to with the aforementioned infrastructure investments. That all said, BBAI is burning about $15 million per quarter, so they've got about 30. So basically, they've got like 2 quarters of cash left before they have any dilution that has to come up again. They may do it before then just to be safe, or they could always it looks like use some line of credit or something like that if they needed to, but obviously. So the float, he said he needed to go over the float though because something looked weird. And that's kind of what I was. It looks like it's got a pretty low float still. Let's see if we can pull this up so I can show you guys real quick. Let's see. Yeah, so they don't have any major dilution on. They already basically had their major dilution already happen. Yeah, so this institutional ownership has really changed. It used to be full of like, Citadel and all these, smart monies, and I think they, once they had a bad quarter, they were all out. But what you'll find with these guys, oops, there we go, Big Bear. There you go. So gap up here. There's a gap here around like 240 or something like that. So there's a gap in the twos that needs to fill. It's from India pump and dump scammers. Yeah, I mean, China's already kind of been doing this for the last couple weeks. I don't know. Something obviously is going on with it. Yeah, I saw the BBAI filing, if I remember correctly, came out from last month, wasn't it? Wasn't it dilution from last month? Let's see. Let's see if I can pull it up. Where'd it go? Excuse me. And I've got warrants, I believe, at like 10 something. Yeah. A good amount of warrants. Let's see. Where is the filing on the 12th? Too late to reply, but still around. Yeah. So, guys, that's our buddy, the CPA. Got the baby down. Congrats. I was gonna say, how old there, Margoth? How many months? 7 months. Congrats. Boy or girl? We got a baby boy, baby girl. Maybe my thing's delayed. Haven't seen a response yet. Boy, baby boy. There you go. Just got back from a trip and he just got a cold. Yeah, my kids got a cold last week and they gave it to me, and then I was sick and my wife's sick and she's still sick today, so we had a late start on the stream because of that, but good stuff. Well, I hope he feels better, and congrats. I was going to say, it flies, I'm telling you. I don't know if you have any others, but man, oh man. I was going to say, it flies by quick. All right. Did you take a look at the filing? I see this coming out. The date of this supplement was the 12th. Okay, there we go. Okay, so they supplemented the prospectus. So it can have convertible notes up to 24 million of convertible notes by 2026. They still got warrants up to 11.5 million of selling the common stock. So basically 12 billion between warrants and the commons. Our first, and it feels like yesterday showed up. Yeah, I'm telling you, just cherish every bit of it, because I was going to say, and you blink your eyes, and my daughter's in kindergarten now, and I felt like it was like yesterday that she was born. Yeah, I mean, we already knew they had dilution. Most of the warrants they had are at like 1150 or 10 something. So at some point, this thing's going to go back up to those levels. It's just, yeah, these warrants right here are for 1150. I'm sure they'll have underwriters on them. But they've got a much, yeah, like, I mean, they still have a little bit of, shareholder equity, but it wasn't as good as it was before. They looked great on paper the year before, or months before. How hard is it to like the stream? It's super hard. I was going to say, we got 32 people, we got 28 likes. That's pretty good. That's a fair ratio. I feel like that's a fair ratio. All right. I liked it twice, so now it's unliked. Well, I'm just going to take away my likes now. I don't like my own video. All right. Did we cover pretty much all the tickers that people throw out, right? Getting tired, so. Hold on. I just saw SPCB. Huh. I missed that. Dirty, you said that they've got 5.6 million at 70 for the pre-registered or pre-funded warrants. I'll have to look that up. Okay, so on March 1st, the company raised 4.65 million for about 3.1 million ordinary shares and 4.4 million pre-funded warrants. I see the ones at 76, but that was 348K. There's another 2.38. Okay, there you go. There's the ones at 70 cents you were talking about. So 4.4 pre-funded warrants. Concurrent private placement to the so they did a private placement for an aggregate of 5.6 million shares at an exercise price of 70. Craig said, I just got here, 1 more hour. I'm tired, man. I was going to say, I've been having long days. Like, I barely got to trade any today because I was out in the field. So, I got home, I got home and, like, or not home, but I got back to the office at, like, basically at 4 almost. I think it was, like, 10 minutes before, and I, like, scrambled to get some last-minute trades and put on BBBY just so I could hedge myself. So, okay, you posted in open research, good stuff. Yeah, I'll just put that link to this thing. I'll look at it tomorrow. All right. And then I don't think anything's fundamentally changed on Weber. I think there's still a lot of short interest, and I think that they're still hanging on. You know, they've got like 30-something% short interest on this thing, and I think they're not interested in closing it because obviously Weber's, having some struggles. So I think at this point it's boiling down to tree shaking, and the overall market was not great, so they probably took a hit today. Yeah, I mean, this right here, this is more like a shake tactic, it looks like, unless there was some news. Was there some sort of news? I'm just looking. I think there was profit taking, and they're just shaking the tree. Elbow cough. I don't want to start coughing because then I'll actually start coughing. Yeah, I mean, shorts haven't closed on this one. It looks like they're very happy to keep this thing short, and eventually, if people stick around for a while, they will see pretty, you know, pretty aggressive moves at some point. But once again, it all depends on how long people hold, and this thing can last a while. All right, I'm done, guys. I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna fall asleep. All right. So appreciate you guys coming and hang out with me. We'll be on tomorrow. So BBBY news comes out tomorrow. That'll be interesting to see what happens in the AM. Look for it to move around 7 a.m. pre-market. So we'll see what happens. All right. You guys have a great evening.